Is it better to just do all old school or all new school? We say you got to do it all. You really want to engage in multi channel marketing where you've got the face to face, you're interacting with people in your community, you're building that know, like, and trust. And in the background, 24/7, your digital marketing is working for you. It's a 24-hour salesperson, marketing person that is working for you, amplifying and leveraging everything that you're doing in person.
Welcome to Great Practice, Great Life by Atticus Incorporated. What if you could hang out with successful small and solo law firm attorneys, ask them about their successes and failures, their business strategies and mindset habits, then take an insight or two to guide your own growth in your practice? Each week, Steve Riley shares an in-depth look at how to work less while maintaining high client service standards, reduce your stress levels while growing your income, and find time to make changes when you are time-starved. Steve is a lawyer coach for more than 20 years and a former trial attorney. His goal is to provide strategies to help you balance your lives and grow your practice. Now, here's Steve.
Hi, it's Steve Riley. Welcome to this episode of Great Practice and Great Life. And today is a great day for me because I have my dear friends, my business partners, as our guests today on this episode. Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Shawn. So welcome to the podcast, or welcome to the episode.
Steve. Thank you, Steve.
It's great to have you guys here. I mean, it's like pulling teeth sometimes to get you here, to get you to talk about things and to get you to share your wisdom and advice, because you both are pretty humble people. But today we're talking about a really important topic, which is helping lawyers grow their practice. That's really what we're here about today, is how can we help lawyers grow their practices? And the two of you have written quite a few books in this area, and I'm very excited to share that you have recently updated and, let's just say, modernized one of your classics, which is How Good Attorneys Become Great Rainmakers. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big deal. But one of the things, and Shawn, I'm going to go to you first on this.
Okay.
In the age of lawyers doing dancing TikTok videos to generate business and tweeting, doing tweets and Facebook ads and TV ads and all that, there's some things about marketing that have not changed. And if it's okay with you, I'd like for you to just talk for a few minutes about the things that you've seen from your perspective that have just not changed about growing and getting clients. Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, so you're right. Some things are timeless and classic when it comes to marketing. And, as long as we are human beings trying to communicate with other human beings, that will always be probably the most effective form of marketing. The face to face, small groups, working a room, having parties, community events. Those are kind of classic, timeless marketing moves. That doesn't change. There's just too much in the way of nonverbal communication and intangibles that you get when you're face to face with somebody that can help you build know, like, and trust and rapport faster than almost any other form of communication. So there are many things, that are timeless, truly.
Mark, what are your thoughts?
I agree. It's why we wrote the book, is that there are timeless things. We want to reinforce referral marketing because it's so important, and we can talk about that. But we want to highlight the changing technology that is really leveraging all of that referral marketing and also working with it. It leverages it and works with it. So we wanted to spend some time highlighting that and making it work better.
It's interesting because the more things have changed, the more they stay the same. One of the things I've really noticed, especially in working with some of our coaches and running the group programs, is how much our clients, attorneys, avoid referral-based marketing. Like they avoid it. Like they do everything they can not to have a face-to-face conversation, not to have a lunch, not to have a coffee, not to have some type of networking function. It seems to avoid it. And I come from the perspective, and Mark, you may remember this, 20 some odd years ago, you were coaching me on referral-based marketing. And I remember for myself the stark terror of referral-based marketing, like going out and developing referral-based relationships. Truth was, nothing built my practice better, faster, and more lucrative. There wasn't a more lucrative technique than referral-based marketing. And I just had Eric Rosen, who's a fantastic trial lawyer, on here talking about his attempts at doing social media marketing, advertising. And at the end of the day, he said, well, referral-based marketing is what he called old school. It's also the most effective form of marketing. So for him, he spent a lot of money doing TikTok social media ads, and referral-based marketing was the core of it. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think referral-based marketing works? Why do you guys think that's the case? Like, what's the core element of it?
Shawn talks about, I want to talk about what you said, and then I want to point to Shawn talks about sort of the pyramid of relationships and how it works and sort of the changing world we're in. But that's one of the reasons I love referral marketing, Steve, is the reason what you just said is most attorneys fear it. So it is such a great competitive advantage as you work through that fear and you get on the other side of it, because it is fairly predictable in the sense if you continue to develop that network and deepen that relationship and have regimented connections with them, it drives business into the firm. Shawn likes to say in marketing, your network is your net worth. Your network
usually follows that way.
Yeah, and so it works for a lot of reasons. But Shawn, you hit it when you talked about the pyramid. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So there's something that we talk about in the book called the pyramid of marketing effectiveness. And if you can kind of picture a pyramid, at the top are people meeting face to face. So all very old school, face to face, human to human contact at the top. These are the marketing lunches, the dinners, the get togethers, the meetings, and so forth that would happen. A high level of intimacy where you can, and trust. And as you sort of, but limited reach, I will say. And as you move down the pyramid, now you're going to have virtual meetings and things that begin to take the human contact out a bit. You're going to have, virtual meetings, you're going to have email, you're going to have text. We're still communicating with people. And in fact, our ability to communicate with more people is increased, but the intimacy factor goes down. And then finally you come to the base of the pyramid, which is what's really changed in the years since we wrote the first version of this book. This is where your digital footprint is. This is your website, your social media platforms, everything that you do online. It gives you tremendous reach. You can reach out to so many more people, but the level of humanity and intimacy is decreased. So is it better to just do all old school or all new school? We say you got to do it all. You really want to engage in multi-channel marketing where you've got the face-to-face happening out there. You're interacting with people in your community. You're building that know, like, and trust. And in the background, 24/7, your digital marketing is working for you. It's a 24-hour salesperson, marketing person that is working for you, amplifying and leveraging everything that you're doing in person. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. One of the core elements of this, and is the relationship. Like if you get referrals from another human beings because they trust you, they like you, they respect you, the social media is gives you the ability to amplify your messaging. But if you're not clear on who you are, who you serve, whether you're trustworthy, what your firm mission is, like how you take care of people, then it doesn't matter how big your amplification is, how wide it is, because you just don't have a great focus about what your practice is about and how you serve. So the core fundamentals is really like, who do you help? How do you help them? How do you make a difference? And that, to me, and I see this a lot in some of our group programs, one of the skills that we work on with lawyers, getting them focused. Who do you help? How do you help them? So the ability to amplify is only valuable to the extent that you have a message to amplify. And this is where I think a lot of lawyers get confused. They think the amplification is the strategy. No, the amplification, turning up the volume of what you're saying, only makes sense if it's not fuzzy noise. You got to have a good song for everybody to dance to, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
no, so I think that's the core element of this. Sometimes the lawyers just say, "Hey, look, if I can amplify my social media presence, that everyone can hear me better." If you're saying blah 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 and it sounds like static, no one can hear you at all, regardless of what you spin, regardless of what you post, regardless of what you're sharing. So, Mark, talk to me a minute about that. Then, Sean, I'm going to ask your opinion about that as well.
Yeah, I want to come back to that. There's two things: the timeless element, because the timeless element of referral marketing is you've got to know who you're talking to, right? You've got to know who your target market is. The same goes to what you're just talking about, Steve, right? If I don't know who my target market is and I'm just amplifying my digital footprint out there all over the world, I'm not being very effective. And in timeless referral marketing or marketing period, not only do I have to know my target market, the demographics of them, the psychographics of them, what they feel, what they think, to get my message honed, then I have to know what the message is, what the message I'm honing. So in referral marketing, we talk about who to talk to, but then we have to know what to say. And that's the same thing, right? If you don't know that message or you don't know who you're talking to, you're going to be very ineffective as you spend thousands and thousands of dollars on amplifying that message. And then how I get to them and reach them it all is back to this timeless element. If you know the fundamentals, who to talk to in a deeper fashion, what to say in a deeper fashion, and how to say it, you can build anything into your marketing. And you can use that triangle Sean's talking about. I just want to hit one other point, Steve, that you and Sean were pointing to. Some attorneys we've come across in their marketing have feared the referral element of it, like getting out there, making the time to go face to face, that they've relied and they've been, now I can just rely on the digital message. But as you can see, it's a far less effective if you don't combine it with that face to face intimacy, trust building activities, this referral marketing. If you can pull all of that together, you have a really robust marketing machine.
Sean, what do you think?
Oh, so many thoughts here. I think the younger you are, the more you trust that social media will deliver you a practice full of new clients, and the more likely you are to be a little more anxious, a little bit more nervous about doing the face to face stuff. I think, we've become dependent on our devices, and maybe some of our social skills are getting a little rusty, and people find it very challenging to get out there and market. But, there's ways to handle that. You can, and we talk about it in the book, get a wingman. Maybe if you're afraid you can't carry the conversation in a lunch with somebody, Ask your partner to come along. Ask your paralegal to come along. They may have the kind of personality that can help you fill in the gaps, keep the conversation going, smooth things along. That's one way to go. If you're nervous about marketing, but you're stepping a toe in the water, select a restaurant that you know really well. You know the owners. Um, Take your marketing, lunches there. It's a familiar environment to you. You can make an arrangement with the owner to pay, with a credit card in advance. So no check comes to the table. If you're kind of a more of an S on the desk, and you like familiar surroundings, and it gives you an added level of comfort in being face to face with somebody. So there are, according to what your disc is, according to what your situation is, there are ways to make marketing a little more comfortable when you get out there. I like to call it marketing in your comfort zone. You just have to figure out what your comfort zone is first, and then you work your way into it and then hopefully expand it.
Hey, Steve, I just want to talk to you for a minute about probably my favorite workshop to teach right now. It's called The Path to a Great Practice and a Great Life. So it doesn't matter if you're a member or if you're new to Atticus, this is a perfect place to come and start your journey of what a great practice and a great life looks like to you. There are 4 elements to the workshop. The first is about your income. If you're going to have a great practice and a great life, you're going to need some cash. One of the questions I always get asked is there a shortcut? Is there a quicker and easier way of making more money? There is, but there's a catch to it. In order to make more money, you want to study how other lawyers have increased the income and the growth of their practice. One of the things we've done at Atticus for the past 35 years is study what the top 20% earners, 10% earners, and ultimately, what do the top 1% earners do? One of the things that we do is reveal and look at what are the 4 core strategies of a top 1% attorney and how you can learn from that 1%er in increasing your practice. And that can be your shortcut. To grow your practice faster, you need to have a bold vision for what your life looks like. The wind in your sails for growth is ultimately the vision of what a great life looks like. In my experience, lawyers that have a terrific, powerful vision for a great life will grow a great practice quicker, faster, and more efficiently than those who don't. It's one thing to have a dream. It's another thing to take action and build foundations under that dream. That's the next thing that we'll work on the workshop. What are the steps you're going to take immediately from the workshop to start building on your vision of a great life and great practice? So if you're a fan of the conversation of what a great practice and great life looks like, this is the greatest opportunity for you to take action now and register for the workshop so we can work together on taking your vision of your great practice and great life and making it come to life. A link to register is included in the show notes, as well as a longer video by me explaining each element of the workshop. If you're a member of Atticus, it's included already in your membership. If you're new to Atticus, I'm giving you a promo code that will take $500 off. All you have to do is click the link below and put in podcast 500 and it'll get you the discount. So hit the link, register for the workshop. I look forward to seeing you there. With that, I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Perfect. It's interesting because as I reflect back, because I learned how to do referral-based marketing from the 2 of you, and I read obviously the first version of this book and read it backwards and forwards. There were 3 things that came to me while we were talking about it. Number 1 is I wrote out scripts and practiced those scripts. And I worked back then with Mark on those scripts. So we worked on the scripts, and I don't think I really needed them. They were just there to help me learn what to say and how to say it, become more confident. 2 is the referral development process, which we talk about in the group programs and some of our coaches work on, really gave me a framework to understand it. Now that's too big of a piece of content to walk through today's episode, just way too big. But it does give a framework to think about strategically. What am I doing here? I'm just not going to Chamber of Commerce events and, bumping into people. I actually think about this as a strategic process. The third thing that's really important for me is some of our audience members are at a point in their practices where they don't have a lot of money. And so how I handled this was Starbucks. So I met with all of my referral sources at coffee shops, and I didn't buy lunch, I didn't buy dinner. Plus, I was trying to lose weight, still am. But in a position where if I was going to a lot of lunches and dinners, not only did it restrict me when I ate, breakfast, lunch, but it got me in a position where I was spending a lot of money on people that were probably not great referral sources. So Starbucks really worked out really, really well for me as a coffee shop. So as people are listening to this, I just want you to listen to what Mark and Shawn are saying. They've done so much of this work with so many different lawyers that referral-based marketing today, if you learn to embrace it, if you're new to the business, it is a competitive advantage because so many lawyers lack the social skills and the business skills of developing professional relationships to acquire new great clients. It's actually, I think, shocking to me as I meet younger and younger lawyers how poor their business skills are and how poor the referral skills are. So if you're a lawyer and you're listening to this, you're like, okay, this sounds very complicated. I'm like, no, not really. Maybe if you invest an hour a week, that's 52 hours a year, you're going to be 52 hours ahead of any of your competitors because none of them are doing this. And Mark, that was the one thing I learned from you back then. You're like, don't worry about it. No one will be there. None of the other lawyers will do this. And I was like, I just can't believe that. I just can't believe that. I find that hard to believe. And you encouraged me to go to a financial planning and insurance association meeting. And I showed up there, 150 insurance agents, financial planners. This was back when I was doing estate planning. And I was terrified. Like I was totally, utterly terrified. I showed up to that meeting with your encouragement, paid my little fee to go to the lunch. And it was hysterical because I was the first lawyer to show up at those meetings in a decade. Like lawyers didn't go to those meetings. Like we were either too good or too busy or what have you. By the end of that lunch, I was on the board of directors because they decided. Yeah, it was crazy. They decided we needed a lawyer. You're the first lawyer to show up. We want other lawyers to come. And they put me on the board. And so I got involved in the association and became great friends with a lot of insurance agents, financial planners in the Tampa Bay area because of it. Still am good friends with quite a few. So as lawyers are listening to this and are listening to this, I can't imagine doing it. Look, I've been there. Other lawyers have been there. We're all afraid, terrified. If there was one small thing that you could encourage them, both of you, I'm going to go to both of you, one small thing that you would encourage someone to do other than just buy the book and read the book. I mean, the obvious thing, and we'll put links into the show notes, here's how to buy the book. And if you're an alumni, and you want to go ahead and get the book because it's all updated. And, Shawn and Mark have done a lot of work on this. If there's one small thing you would encourage people to do out of the book, other than reading the book, what would it be? Like one small thing to get started here. Mark, why don't you go first? And Shawn will give you a moment to think about it.
I I have such a difficult time going to the small thing because there's two things that show up for me when you're talking about that, Steve, is that for me, I think about the importance of pushing through our fears, our concerns, and building a marketing activity and plan and process around our personality, our abilities, and getting stronger over time, as you're saying. And my word to the vast majority of attorneys is that next to getting your law degree, this is the most important thing you could do, and that's the ability to bring in clients on a predictable, regular basis that impacts your lifetime income. And if you can just keep pursuing that, it's like everything else in life. It's a learned behavior, and little steps lead into big gains over time. But when you told the story of your of going to that event, the thing that I'm always think about and reminded about with marketing is the saying where we talk about go where the fish are. not the fishermen. And it's a story that comes from when I first took over a company. I had to drive around the state with the old president of the company, and he was retiring to become a professional fisherman. Quiet guy, but he would tell me all these fishing. The only way I could get him to talk was talk about fishing. And I said, "So how did you start to fish?" And he goes, "Well, my daddy taught me," at a great Southern accent. He said, "He used to take me to the lake, and when I was like 9, 10 years old, he wouldn't let me fish. He would take me, he would fish, and he wouldn't let me. And he said, 'Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go around the lake, and I want you to watch the other fishermen, and I want you to report back to me what they're doing.'" And he said, "I did that. I looked at everything they're doing, the gear they were using, the rods they were using, the techniques, and I'd tell my dad." He said, "That's great." And he would do this time after time after time, and went on until he was really frustrated. And the father says, "Okay, you've got the biggest, I'm going to give you the biggest lesson, and then you can go and fish on your own. And from here on in, I just want you to go where the fish are, not these other fishermen. That's the biggest lesson." And it forced him to learn who the fish were. So he learned to understand what types of fish swim at different depths and different parts of the lake, what bait works for what. But he didn't need any magic formula. He understood the fish, and he went there and he avoided the other fishermen, which is exactly what you did, Steve. You went to a conference where there were no other attorneys, and bam, there are all these people just waiting. It was brilliant on your part.
Actually, it was your advice, Mark. So you should get the credit. You encouraged me to do it. It took a whole bunch of arm twisting, and look, and this is one of the great things that people really don't appreciate about my viewpoint is I started off with Atticus first and foremost as a client. So there's nothing that we're recommending to any of our new members, our new clients, that I personally haven't done, seen, coached, or taught myself in our experience. So this is really important to me because referral-based marketing works. It's cost-effective. It allows you to align it with your values. You guys have written a fantastic book on it. But before I get too distracted, Shawn, what are your thoughts? What's one small thing that you would recommend to our audience members on referral-based marketing or out of the book that you think would help them?
So the book is kind of constructed based on what we call assets. If you learn this small habit or if you do this small behavior, you can learn to be a master at marketing. So it's presented a lot in bite-sized pieces. You don't have to do all the pieces, but there's some that you need to master. But as I think about generations of new attorneys who are anxious about, getting out there, marketing themselves. If they can afford it, one small thing that they can do is get a marketing assistant. If you get a marketing assistant who is not afraid to get out there and promote your firm, so you look for somebody with kind of a bubbly, positive, optimistic personality who can set up events for you, set up lunches, dinners, parties, client appreciation events, and help you with social media at the same time. That is you buying some of the skills that you don't have and that you wouldn't want to take the time to learn. It's outsourcing all the logistics for marketing and then setting you up to just show up at whatever event or dinner or lunch where you can be great. And that person can even go with you. So there's strength in numbers and they can help you. Having a person like that, even part-time, whose job it is to keep you current on social media, to reach out and initiate live activities, lunches, dinners, etc., organize meeting up at bar meetings, things like that. That can get you going. Now you have a partner in the game, and that can really kind of get you out there. And I think it can help people, especially those that are anxious about marketing. It can help them a lot.
I would imagine that their first day on the job would be reading the book. And so,
People have used the book as a way to train their marketing person. There's a whole chapter on your marketing assistant and what he or she could do to up your game when it comes to marketing. We've had people assign this book to all of their associates and then do sort of a book club approach where they get together and discuss a chapter, a month, kind of a lunch and learn kind of a thing. This book is actually also sold in to certain law schools who use it to teach a little bit of marketing also. So it can be a good teaching tool.
well, it's a great teaching tool from the perspective that if you're a busy lawyer and you're trying to figure out where to start with your marketing, you guys have done a great job of condensing a lot of information to it. What would you say to someone who read the book like myself years ago, and I have copies behind me and over there, behind my other desk? What would you say, what's new in the book that you'd say, here's why you want to invest the time to reread it?
I would say, Shawn, I'm going to let you answer that. I'm going to say one thing towards that. And it's the lesson we've learned over and over and over again. Read it again. It's what happens is that we forget, we get comfortable, and we forget all of the things we could be doing, the fundamentals, improving the fundamentals. I've got clients that go through it and they reread it, highlight again, underline, and use that stuff over and over. And it just keeps getting, they see things they didn't see the first time. They pick up new ideas. So my first reason is to read it again. Now it's updated. It's a lot, get more, more updated references on everything. But the power of just reading it again, because it's such an important thing to be doing in our marketing. I'm sorry, Shawn, how would you add to that for the other reasons?
So when the first book was written, we were just beginning to text at that point. Social media was just getting started. And social media platforms have exploded. Even your firm website that you might think is a perfectly fine, website is probably a brochure site, basically, and is not really, designed to capture or generate leads. So, you could learn how to update your website. You could learn about social media ad campaigns and how to track them. You can learn more about how to segment and target certain demographics and also match your intended target market with the type of social media platform that you're going after. It needs to be one that your prospective clients are on and that your prospective referral sources are on as well. So you just learn how to take what I would call your narrative assets, your your mission statement. You figure out how to amplify all of that online. It will be what creates your brand. It teaches you to be consistent across all of your media with the look and feel of all of your materials. It also teaches how to do a marketing and sales funnel. Now, for most attorneys, their kind of version of this is to sign somebody up, a client up for their newsletter that they would send out maybe on a quarterly basis, increasingly, on email. But that's how they would maintain top of mind awareness with past clients. And we know that it's your responsibility to stay top of mind with clients. And you can actually create a sales and marketing funnel that identifies the needs of the people in the funnel that have used you in the past or who are thinking about using you in the future, you can target them with certain material and offers that would be interesting to them. So you're actually recovering some of the people that maybe didn't hire you the first time around or only hired you for part of the work. And you're learning how to target and prospects that are out there that have expressed an interest in working with you. So the smart firms that we work with have been early adopters of creating a sales and marketing funnel, and they've been very successful in doing that. It's a great technique. Technology makes this all possible now. So again, it's many of the same classic principles, just updated and used in a different medium.
I'd say you'd be able to use it throughout multi-marketing channels within your plan now, not just referral marketing and some it does, but it's really the entire front of the funnel and spending time looking at that, where wasn't able to pull in so many aspects originally.
Shawn, as you rewrote the book and rethought about this from a strategic perspective, what's the one thing that kind of shocked you or surprised you that you just didn't see when you originally wrote the book?
Reviews and how popular they would become and how critical they are to the success of all law firms at this point. Back when the first book was written, it was really considered unethical to post what was then considered a testimonial on your own website. That was considered unethical. Your bar would come down on you about that. Then, with the advent of these third-party sites such as Avvo, FindLaw, etc., that allowed you to rank attorneys, they started becoming more popular. And now the cat is out of the bag or whatever, because it's cultivating reviews has become its own marketing asset. And it's something that you can have your marketing assistant do. There's technological supports for this. You can use something like Bird Eye that can text your clients and ask for a review and walk them through the review process, tracking everything. In your Google My Business pages, also, if you were to do that, when you complete your Google My Business page, which comes up alongside your website, if you've claimed that page, they will also give you a QR code. And once you're complete, and you can actually post that QR code on a little sign in your office, and clients can, of course, take a picture of it, access your whatever review site you're using. In this case, it's going to be Google, because this is Google My Business. And it allows them to do a review right then and there when they're feeling, hopefully, most grateful for the help that you have provided. So that's pretty exciting. And I will say, the younger that you are, though we all pay attention to reviews, reviews have become increasingly more important on how we select attorneys and our overriding attorney reputations and levels of expertise, because they get good reviews. Now, a bad review can screw up even a good referral. So if you get a good referral from a human being, but they go online and they see bad reviews, now you have the digital fighting with the sort of classic marketing, referral marketing, and it can actually downgrade that person's desire to make a connection with you. So, when a potential client learns your name, they will go online to see how credible you are. They'll read reviews, and you can get screwed up if you have bad reviews. So we talk in the book at how to repair that if that happens to you, and how to dilute it if you need to, because those bad reviews tend to stick around.
Shawn, I think that's in itself should be a future episode. Just that one thing: how to get the reviews, how to request reviews, how to clean up a bad review, clean up a negative comment. I mean, there's so much going on out there. Mark, I've got a question for you. The one thing I learned from you, and it's one of the things that I see our members, our clients struggle with, and it's such a basic marketing asset, basic marketing habit that you taught me years and years ago. And I fought you on it, just like our clients are fighting all of our coaches on it, which is asking existing clients for a referral. Now, this sounds crazy. I know it sounds totally crazy. And if you're an audience member and you're listening, I just want you to listen to the practical genius of this piece of advice from Mark. Because if you do this one thing every day, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, it can make a difference. So, Mark, would you like me to practice my referral ask, or would you like to go for one?
I'd like to talk about it for a minute, Steve, because I love what you're saying. It is true. The more referrals you request for referrals you make, the more business you get. There's a direct correlation. The people that do it get more business, but we have to do it in context. It usually comes out of a conversation that we've already had relationship with someone, rapport with someone, some level of trust. If we do it nobody wants to do it in a cold, emotional environment. It's Steve, what's that character from Groundhog Day that you always reference?
So, in the movie Groundhog Day, Bill Murray is accosted by, and I forget the name of the actor. It's a very, very good actor, but he plays an insurance agent who Bill Murray runs into Ned the Head Ryerson. So we'll see if we can find a clip. Hopefully, it's a fair use of a YouTube. But it's a great scene because Ned the Head Ryerson goes up to him in the middle of the town, like walking through the street. Hey, it's me, Ned the Head Ryerson, and starts talking about all the insurance products he sells. and I unfortunately have had some experiences from insurance agents where they show up like Ned the Head Ryerson, where they're just like, hey, you know what you can sell? You can buy universal, whole life, this life, that life, the other thing. The most aggressive ones I dealt with when I was practicing are probably Northwestern insurance agents. And they had the worst referral ask I'd ever seen in my entire life or ever experienced in my entire life. It was just so terrible. And they're such a successful company, and their agents make a fortune, but it was just one of the worst referral asks I've ever seen in my life.
And we're all afraid of that. We're all afraid of being seen like Ned the Head and imposing because we've had experiences of people that are just do it terribly.
So, Mark, one of the things that you taught me, and that you taught me brilliantly, and we do it in our group programs, our coaches are trained to do it, which is kind of this, what we call strategic interview, like how to talk to referral sources, how to ask them important questions. So you really understand more about their world and what they're looking for in a relationship with a professional like a law firm or a lawyer. It's one of the big ahas that I learned from you. But one of the things that you taught me, which was always terrifying for me, which was how to make a direct request for business. So here we are reviewing the new version of how good attorneys become great rainmakers. And I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you to do a referral request. Pretend you're a lawyer, in whatever way that you want to set it up, go for it. And, you're being totally put on the spot. But you've taught so many lawyers how to do this, and you've made other lawyers millions and millions and millions of dollars in business on this really basic thing, this really, really basic thing. So if you're a lawyer and you're totally, totally terrified, and you have to understand there's no perfect way of doing it, right? There's no perfect way. So there's just doing it. And that is the perfect way. So Mark, if you could just for fun, set it up any way you want, but just go for a referral request. Because and this is going for the audience members that I let you set this up. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. As an audience member, look, you can do dancing TikTok videos all you want. Go for it. If you want to do ads on Facebook, go for it. If you want to do videos of walking slow motion from the courthouse with a briefcase, go for it. But if you don't know how to ask good clients for introductions to other good clients, you are spending a lot of money inefficiently or ineffectively. Once you develop the habit of making a referral request from a great client for introductions to another great clients, and if you create a keystone habit, meaning a culture habit of the whole organization making requests for introductions and referrals, you then are so much more cost effective and so much more powerful in the marketplace that it makes you so hard to compete with because you've built a culture and an engine of making referrals, requesting referrals. So I know it's not fair to you, but I've never been fair to you most of the time. That's the nature of our relationship. So can you go for that for me, please?
I can. Steve, I will say just that for people understanding this process, it can never come from a cold space, meaning we would only ask referrals from people that we have a background of relationship with, that there's already some trust in our relationship. None of us want to be Ned the head Ryerson, right? We've all experienced that. We've all had the seen it done poorly, and it scares us to think that we would come across like that. So if one would assume that, and obviously you and I do, but when we're doing this, we have a background in relationship, I might do it two ways. One would be very indirect. I would say, Steve, I have just so loved working with you and the work we've done together. And I'm glad that we had the results we did. And I don't want you to hesitate if you know someone in the future that might need my services to send them my way. And it's a very simple, indirect, and there's plenty of scripts for that in the book. John's done a brilliant job of laying out scripts. For me, I'm a little bit more direct using that background of relationship. And I would say something similar in opening. Steve, working with you on this matter has been so wonderful experience for me. I want to work with more people like you, more people with your integrity, your honesty, your commitment to your family, your company, whatever that aspect of your worked on. And I'm curious if there's someone that that you're seeing in your world right now that's dealing with these same issues that you think I could help. If so, who do you think that person would be?
So this is a fantastic request. And this is a really great request. So as the audience members listen to this, this is one of the things that Mark coached me on, and I scripted and I practiced. And this type of request, and sometimes you made me do it with a timeline as well, Mark, like in the next week or 2 weeks. But this is a very, very powerful request. So thank you. Thanks for doing it. I hopefully people heard that from a place of, that was you got put on the spot. It was kind of generic. It was kind of general, but yet it was very powerful because it's a direct request and a more tightened request for who would that be. Very powerful stuff, really powerful stuff.
And I would say, just out of context, they're terrible. You have to practice them. You have to be in context, and you have to be authentic in that process. We're going through a scripted process here, but you have to be authentic in it.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things I learned from you. You're a big golfer. I don't golf, but I like to cook. And so for me, I found marketing activities to do that were in alignment with the things that were interesting to me. So authentic, they were things that worked for me. But I do have a quick question. I'm going to see if I can get away with something here. Shawn, you and Mark have been married and business partners for decades. What feedback would you give him to improve on that referral request?
So, A lot of people wouldn't be comfortable with that second, very direct request. But the thing that I know that happens is the deeper your relationship is, the more you are friends with the referral source that you're talking to, the more direct you can get. I've coached attorneys who, you know, who had the ideal situation that their referral sources became their friends. And, this is what you want. And, if you really become friends, very familiar with a person beyond a business relationship, I'm talking about the kind of friends who get together on the weekends, the families get together, they do things. The more familiar you are, the more intimate you are with somebody, the more direct your request can be. To the point where I've had one client say to his friend, "Hey, you haven't sent me any business lately. What's going on?" And you can get away with that level of frankness if you are truly friends. You can be that level of straight and authentic. And, and maybe you uncover a problem also by asking somebody that way. But I mean, so if you're talking to a client, you're going to adopt a level of formality and you're going, because, you have a more limited relationship with them, but hopefully you can authentically pivot from a compliment to them. I've really enjoyed working with you. And if I can help any of your friends or family, please send them my way. I mean, that's something you never use the words "send me business" like Ned the Head in Groundhog Day. You know what I mean? It's like you're pivoting from a nice acknowledgement and making a little request. And it's something that stays with the client. You planted a seed because a lot of clients think, oh, the guy's busy. He's got a lot going on. Obviously, he's got a lot of clients. He's probably too busy to take new people on. But by saying that, you say, I have room for more people and I'd love to help your friends. And that's, it's a very powerful, powerful word of mouth marketing tool, really.
That's great. I mean, that's fantastic. There's so much that we can be said just around coaching lawyers and advising lawyers to be on time, not complaining about how busy they are, because then the clients feel guilty. The good clients feel guilty about referring work, which is amazing because I've seen that happen. So as we close out, Shawn, any final words of advice or recommendations that have come out of the book that you would like to pass on to our audience or members?
I want to echo something you said at the beginning, Steve, which was powerful habits, Keystone habits. And one of them that we talk about, that you've talked about, is 3 marketing activities a week. And at the end of the year, you've done 100, 150 marketing activities. They can be small. It can be meeting somebody at Starbucks. It can be reaching out on the phone to somebody, even emailing. But, doing 3 contacts, putting it into your calendar, a habit like that can really make a huge difference in growing your business.
Fantastic. Mark, how about you? Anything that you'd like to pass on as final thoughts?
If you don't believe that your services or you're very good at what you do, don't bother marketing. But if you believe that you are great and that you offer an incredible service and you make a difference in people's lives in the work you do, if you're not out telling people about it, if your system isn't out there telling about it, nobody is, and shame on us if we're not doing it. Because if the good people don't market, the bad people will.
Well, that's actually pretty profound. So I'm going to hang out there for a second and let everybody listen to that. Because think about what Mark just said. If you believe that you're helping your clients and you're making a difference, save them from the bad lawyers, the bad firms that are not helping them. And you know who those bad firms are. And the distinction really here is you getting out there and spreading the word about who you help and how you help them. And it's the core of what Mark just said. Really well done. So as I wrap up, I want to thank the two of you. I want to thank the two of you for the continued work that you do. This book has made literally lawyers millions and millions and millions of dollars. And those millions of dollars have employed team members, marketing assistants, paralegals, associates. So the two of you, through this one little piece of content marketing, have changed a lot of lives. And I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work that you've done, the work that you continue to do, and your commitment to the legal profession. Neither one of you are lawyers, but you have dedicated the bulk of your lives to helping lawyers have a great life and a great practice. So on behalf of my brothers and sisters at the bar, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks for joining this week's episode of Great Practice, Great Life. Please tune in weekly to get the next episode. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, like, and don't hesitate to share it with a friend who you think this episode could help. With that, thanks, and I hope you enjoy next week's episode.